أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الضيوف الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نظراً لحضور عدد من الضيوف من أنحاء العالم، أستأذنكم لأكمل التقديم باللغة الإنجليزية. كما أود أن ننوه عن وجود ترجمة فورية لمن يرغب بمواصلة الاستماع باللغة العربية. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Ammar Siddiqui, and it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Saudi Aramco and the Pearl Initiative to the Governance and Focus Forum, Boosting Competitiveness in a New Business Paradigm, held under the patronage of His Excellency Khalid Al-Faleh, Minister of Energy, Industry and Mineral Resources of Saudi Arabia and Chairman of Saudi Aramco. Before starting with this morning's proceedings, I would like to kindly bring to your attention that in case of an emergency, please find your way to both exits on the sides of the hall. Governance and Focus is established to discuss the inseparable link between good corporate governance and sustainable economic competitiveness, which will be discussed and debated during the day through our exciting plenary sessions and workshops. We have a fantastic program ahead and are honored to present an inspiring lineup of presenters and speakers from business, government, and philanthropic sector to address some of the most pressing issues and trends affecting the global business environment and the opportunities within it for the Gulf region. Without further ado, to address you with an opening message on corporate governance, the foundation of corporate sustainability, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Badr Jafar, founder of the Pearl Initiative and CEO at Crescent Enterprises.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، ضيوف الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends, our region finds itself on the cusp of change. Change that will cut across all sectors of our economy and that will have material impact on the lives of our citizens. Visionary national agendas such as Saudi Vision 2030 and UAE Vision 2021 aspire to create an environment conducive to economic prosperity and social cohesion for all. But before we look to the future, cast your mind back 2.5 centuries to 1776, a year characterized by groundbreaking change and the founding of what would become the world's largest economy. That year, the philosopher Adam Smith published the famed Wealth of Nations text that spoke to the monetary potential of a nation when overseen by the right economic principles, many of which were embraced by the US founding fathers. Today, we in the Gulf region are at a pivotal moment in our own history. And whilst many of Smith's principles have stood the test of time, our quest is less about the wealth of nations, rather the health of nations. The health of our nations and economies predicated on strong governance frameworks, hence, as the title of this forum espouses, a focus on governance. And it's this inextricable link between governance and the health of our organizations today that will be key to unlocking the vitality promised by our shared vision for tomorrow. And if we get it right, we will witness veritable economic renaissance. Now, at so crucial a juncture, a marked shift in our response to these forces has begun to manifest itself. Perennially operating from the periphery, the private sector has been elevated to critical partner status in facing the great socio-economic challenges of our time and securing the future health of our economies. No longer a bystander, the private sector has become the solution. And the Pearl Initiative's work is ideally placed at the epicenter of this paradigm shift. Private wealth in our region alone has surged to $8 trillion and will hit $12 trillion by 2021. With 85% of the Gulf region's non-oil GDP generated by family businesses, we expect to see a generational transfer of wealth of over $1 trillion over the next decade. And in safeguarding the resilience of the passage of this vast economic value, strong corporate governance shall be vital. Once seen as an addition of value to traditional corporate structures, Good governance is now a permanent fixture, forming the bedrock of business competitiveness and sustainability. And nor is this the sole domain of blue-chip multinationals. In fact, our region's SMEs and startups can arguably benefit the most from governance principles and frameworks, facilitating more rapid and steady growth than they otherwise could. And if you're unconvinced, then Sheikh Fahim Al-Qasimi is leading a session on this in the afternoon, and I'm sure he will, I have no doubt he will convince you otherwise. As engines of our job markets, the subject matter is particularly significant given that Gulf SMEs currently contribute a relatively low 20% of GDP compared to an OECD average of 55%. So in other words, plenty of upside. The fourth industrial revolution that's upon us adds another dimension to these discussions. While some will argue that life was a lot more pleasant when Apple and BlackBerry were just fruit, millions of economically disenfranchised people will testify to its life-changing effects. Now, of course, technological change has always been a double-edged sword. And with youth unemployment across the MENA region already hitting a tragic 40%, and with 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 yet to be invented, our challenge as we strive to transition to a knowledge economy will be to harness this technology to inclusively serve humanity and our habitat. And that is also fundamentally a governance challenge. Of course, discourse about the health of capital and its custodian institutions would not be complete without a look at philanthropic capital. With between $250 billion to $1 trillion a year in zakat and sadaqah, potentially the value of one Saudi Aramco every 2 years, we have an immense responsibility and opportunity to optimize the impact of the third sector. And again, robust governance frameworks are required to secure its successful evolution to greater prevalence so as to ensure accountability to its beneficiaries and, of course, the wider stakeholder community. The Pearl Initiative actually is launching a report supported by the Gates Foundation at a dedicated session on this topic later this afternoon. Now, in this overall context of challenges and opportunities, the Pearl Initiative is greatly honored to partner with Saudi Aramco, a global icon of resilient commerce, to co-host this forum. Connecting leaders from across all sectors to address these very challenges, we aim to collectively design self-renewing models of collaborative governance that will ensure the vitality of the region's economies and societies for generations to come. On behalf of our team, our community of partners, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to His Excellency Khalid Al-Faleh for his stewardship in endorsing this event, and President and CEO Amin Nasser, and really the whole forum team at Saudi Aramco for extending a very warm hand of partnership and for all your incredible hospitality that we are forever grateful for. Thank you, Your Excellency. It's indeed a unique opportunity to convene this meeting in Saudi Arabia, as the kingdom embarks upon one of the deepest transformations our region has witnessed. With the relaunch of, or while the relaunch of cinemas has the media fixated, we have Majid Al-Fataim Al-Ambijani in the audience, it's important to recognize that at the heart of change in Saudi is a focus on governance. Headlines aside, the trend lines shaped by gender equality, youth inclusion, economic diversification, and embracing the arts in the local economy will positively transform this great country and the region as a whole. And in realizing this heroic vision, and for the collective good of our institutions and societies, we all have a role to play. Now, as today's proceedings commence, I just wish to leave you with some very quick thoughts. As the curators of this collaborative governance ecosystem, I urge you all to contemplate as we strive to transition from dialogue to action. First, authentic collaboration. Each of us has an important role to play in creating a level playing field upon which economic reforms can flourish. However, it's far too common for us to be working in our own silos. Realizing our shared vision for healthy, inclusive, and diversified economies will be a futile exercise in the absence of intensely focused cross-sectoral collaboration to drive the vital infrastructure and job opportunities that our citizens rely upon. Second, leadership. Relying on governance without strong leadership, or vice versa, is like trying to clap with one hand. Leadership without governance risks complacency and corruption. Furthermore, governance without leadership risks atrophy, bureaucracy, and indifference. Therefore, our boards and management need to live the value systems that they champion each day and every day. Third, start early. Our students and budding entrepreneurs have much more at stake in these decisions and actions than many of us do. Very soon, they will be the ones that benefit or the ones that will have to pay heavily. And the least that we can do as responsible leaders is to stand up and own what we did to make our world, their birthright, a more sustainable place socially, economically, and ecologically. And so I extend a very warm welcome to the Pearl Initiative Student Advisory Board, which is made up of students from 6 universities across the Gulf who have joined us today. We really laud your inspirational energy, your ideas, and your relentless optimism. And finally, earn trust, earn trust, earn trust, and then worry about the rest. Trust is the foundational principle that binds all of our relationships. And unlike reputation, which is based on an aggregate of past experiences, trust is a forward-facing metric of stakeholder expectation, and which is increasingly considered the most valuable commodity in the workplace. And the prize really on offer is more than just a social contract to operate. It's true value creation. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody has all the answers. If we did, forums such as these would be a waste of time. Which is why I strongly believe that these collaborative discussions can help us to develop the right, locally relevant and culturally sensitive solutions for our region and bring about the resolve that we need to facilitate the positive change that we seek. And not just for some, but for all. Thank you once again for being here today, and I wish us all an impactful day ahead. Thank you.